Hello everyone, a very good morning to all. So far we have discussed about the structures of ionic solids. We have discussed for NaCl, zinc sulfide, and cesium chloride, AB type, AB2 type, A2B type. A2B type was sodium oxide, AB2 type was calcium chloride. So we discussed about all the structures. Some were having FCC lattice, some were having FCC that is occupied by anions, and out of just one that is in that is calcium chloride was having FCC lattice occupied by cations. So now, as we know that there are, according to the structures we have discussed, there is the radius of the anions and cations is fixed, and there in these structures we got to know that if one type of ions are making the lattice, that is, if say anions are making the lattice, then in the sites the cations are going to be present. Now, the fitting of these ions with each other, that what is the size of the uh, ion, what is the size of the site, and what is the site of the ion which is going to occupy that site, and the compatibility of those things, these things, that how the what governs the uh, fitting of these ions with each other into a structure, into a stable structure. So there comes a rule for this thing, that which is called as radius ratio rule. So which says that ratio of the radius of cation to the radius of an ion in an ionic solid is called as the radius ratio. So radius ratio is the ratio of the radius of cation to the radius of anion. That is, R positive is the radius of cation and R negative is the radius of anion. So based upon the value of radius ratio, we can predict about the coordination number. We can say that how many number of anions are going to surround a particular cation, and what is going to be the site, what type of site is going to be filled by that particular cation based upon the radius ratio rule. In particular compound, say if NaCl is there, what type of sites are going to be present based upon the size of the sodium and chloride. If AgCl is there, what type of sites are going to be occupied by silver, and what type of sites are being generated by chloride in case of silver chloride. If we know the ratio, if we know the size is radius of the cation and the anion, then we'll calculate the radius ratio, and then based upon that radius ratio, if the value of radius ratio is lying between 0.155 to 0.225, then coordination number is going to be 3. That is, if the radius ratio is less than 0.225, then coordination number is going to be 3. The packing arrangement, that means 3 spheres are going to be there which are making this site. So the packing arrangement is going to be planar triangular, and example of that is boron oxide. And this structure we haven't discussed. This is not in your syllabus. Just the trigonal sites we haven't discussed. We just discussed the cubic sites, we discussed the tetrahedral sites, we discussed the octahedral site, but this trigonal site is not in your syllabus. So we haven't discussed any example, any ionic solid related to this coordination number. But here you can memorize one example. Then the radius ratio for this particular coordination number is 0.155 to 2.225. Then comes if it is lying between this range, that is 0.225 to 0.414, then coordination number is going to be 4, and packing arrangement of that particular site is going to be tetrahedral. Example is zinc sulfide, this we have discussed. Next is 0.414 to 0.732, coordination number 6, site is going to be octahedral. Example is NaCl. Then 0.732 to 0.999, then coordination number is 8, cubic site, as we discussed for the case of cesium chloride, when chloride ions were present at the corners of the cube and cesium occupies the body center position. So next we have, so here we have, these are the radius ratio calculated for the trigonal site. So for occupying the trigonal site, the radius ratio must be greater than, at least this must be the value, then only the cation or the ions are going to occupy that particular site made by the counter ions. So radius ratio, minimum radius ratio for tetrahedral site is 0.225, octahedral site is 0.414, and cubic is 0.732. So now what we'll discuss is we'll see how these values have been calculated using the arrangement. So first we are counting the calculating the radius ratio for trigonal side. For radius ratio, what we need to know is we will have to reach at the value of r positive divided by r negative. So we'll make effort for that. So in trigonal side, anions are going to be arranged like this, and cations is going to be present in the center in the space in the triangular side created by these three spheres, which are representing the anion. So these three spheres, we can say their centers are lying at the corners of an equilateral triangle, and this sphere, which is cation, is lying in the center, and such that this point is D point and this midpoint is E point. BE is the radius, BD is also the radius. BE is the radius of anion, BD is the radius of cation plus radius of anion. If you can see, this particular length is the radius of, this particular point from this point to D point. This is the radius of cation, and then the radius of anion is being added to. So overall, this particular length is radius of anion plus radius of cation, and DE is representing the radius of this is the perpendicular to this BC side of the equilateral triangle, and BE is the radius of anion. So let's get started. This is the equilateral triangle where AB is equal to BC is equal to CA. So from here we can see that this is equal to 2r negative, that is two spheres, anionic spheres are joining here, and this is the radius. So this is 2r negative. This side is equal to double the radius of anion, and BD is equal to, if D is the central point here, this is D, this is E, and BD is equal to r positive plus r negative, as we have discussed. So further, in right angle triangle, if we consider this right angle triangle, that is B, D, and E. So in this right angle triangle, if we take the cos of this angle in case of equilateral triangle, the whole angle B is 60 degree. So here it is half of that angle. So cos B is cos 30, which is equal to base upon hypotenuse. Here base is BE divided by BD. So base upon hypotenuse. So value of cos 30 is, we already know based upon the mathematics, that is √3 by 2. And base upon hypotenuse is represented as BE is r negative and hypotenuse is r positive plus r negative. So base upon hypotenuse is equal to √3 by 2. Now what we'll do is, we want to reach at r positive by r negative. What we'll do, we'll invert this equation, that is r positive plus r negative divided by r negative is equal to 2 divided by √3. So from here we can separate both these things, both these values, r positive by r negative plus r negative by r negative, which is going to give us 1. So from here we will get the value of r positive divided by r negative, which is our radius ratio. So it comes out to be 0.155. So this, from here we got to know that at least the radius ratio should be at least 0.155 for acquiring this particular system for cation and anion, for acquiring this particular type of sites. Next, we have tetrahedral site. For the tetrahedral site occupancy, as we have already discussed the type of ions which are going to make the tetrahedral sites should be present at the alternate corners of the cube, then only they will make the tetrahedral site. So these blue spheres are representing the anions which are making the tetrahedral site. I'm marking them as yellow in color, and the green one is representing the one present in the tetrahedral site, that is cation. So here the side length of, that is AB length side of the cube is A, and R positive is again the radius of cation, and R negative is the radius of anion. So anions are touching each other in actual, and cation is in site. So these anions are actually touching each other. So we can see that from here, if we see in this right angle triangle, ABC, that is A, B, and C, this triangle I'm talking about, A, B, and this triangle. So ABC. So here AC square is equal to, according to the theorem, Pythagoras theorem, AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. So AB square is A, BC, A square, BC square is also A square. So AC square is equal to √2 of A. AC is equal to root 2 of A. From here we have, this is just simple mathematics which we have applied. Also AC is the length where two anions are touching each other. So they are, as they are making the tetrahedral side, so they are touching each other. So this is also equal to 2R negative. That is twice the radius of A9. So from here we can have the value of R negative, that is A by root 2. Next, what we'll have to do, we'll have to take the right angle triangle. Here, RAT is representing, RAT is representing right angle triangle. ACD we are taking. This is right angle triangle ACD. In this ACD triangle, AD, which is the body diagonal of the cube, is equal to AD square is equal to AC square plus CD square. Now CD square is, CD is A and AC we have already calculated previously. So we'll put the value of AC and CD both and we'll get the value of body diagonal, that is root 3A. So also AD, as we have seen, it is the body diagonal. So the AD is equal to twice of R positive and R negative, as this A9, which is present at the corner A, is going to touch this cation when this is present in the site, and this must be present at the center of this cube. So this whole AD is going to be twice of R positive and R negative, twice of R positive plus R negative. So from here we can have the value of, as AD was equal to root 3 by A, root 3A. So from here, putting the value of AD here, we will have the value of R positive plus R negative, which comes out to be root 3 by 2A. Now what we'll do is, we have two equations. R negative is equal to A by root 2 and R positive plus R negative is this. So what we'll do is, now we want to reach at R positive divided by R negative. What we'll do is, we'll divide 2 by 1. And from there we'll get the radius ratio, which comes out to be 0.225, which is the minimum radius ratio required for the site formation of tetrahedral site. Next we have octahedral site. So octahedral site, as we have previously discussed, that this is made up of 6 spheres. Here we have just shown 4 spheres which are present in plane, and 1 sphere is going to be present at the top, and 1 sphere is going to be present at the base, which will cover this side. Now we have opened up this side and we have removed the top one and the bottom one. So we have 4 spheres which are present at the 4 corners of the square, and in the center there lies the cation which is present in the side. So here the AD length is equal to, or we can say, if this is a right angle triangle BCD, here BD square is equal to BC square plus CD square, and DC, which is the side length of the square which we have made out of joining the 4 spheres. So this is equal to 2R, twice of R negative. This is the radius of A9 and this is twice of R negative, that is diameter of this sphere. So here it is, BC is also twice of R negative and CD is also twice of R negative. From here we get the value of BD square, which is, here also we can see that BD is the double of R positive plus R negative. So from here we'll equate these two things. So, and dividing both by 2R negative, because we want to reach at R positive by R negative. So from here we'll get the value as 0.414. This calculation was the easiest one, where we just wanted to consider one square, and from that we calculated the value of radius ratio. So from here radius ratio comes out to be 0.414, which is the radius ratio for the octahedral site, where the coordination number is going to be 6. Next, we have the cubic site with the coordination number of 8, which was occupied by cesium chloride. Here, chloride ions are present at the corners and cesium in the center. All are touching the chloride ion. So we can say for the body diagonal, which is we'll start with AC. Here, AC is equal to root 2 of AB square plus BC square. The side length of the cube is A, and so AC is going to be root 2A. This we have already calculated in the previous case. Similarly, ACD triangle, when we'll consider ACD triangle, wahan se hum will take the value of AD, which comes out to be root 3A. Also AD, which is the body diagonal, is equal to twice of R positive plus R negative. So from here, R positive plus R negative is going to be equated to root 3 by 2A. So also AB is equal to 2R negative. Here you can see that AB, these two spheres are touching each other. So AB is equal to 2R negative. So R negative from here comes out to be A by 2. Now divide 1 by 2, we'll divide 1 by 2. This is 1, this is 2. From here we'll get R positive by R negative, which comes out to be 0.732. So this is how we calculate the radius ratio for the cubic side. From here we have calculated all the radius ratio. This table we have already discussed. This is the radius ratio range. This is a coordination number for each side, and this is the type of side. So from this portion, generally you'll be given the, out of the radius ratio, you will be given the size of the cation and size of the anion. You'll have to calculate the radius ratio, and you will be asked that what is going to be the coordination number and what type of site is going to be occupied by the cations or the anions. Also, you will be asked in exams about so the radius ratio for this particular site is this. Then you will have to do this whole mathematical treatment for that, for attempting that question. So this is a very simple mathematical treatment for all calculation of all the radius ratios. We have 4 radius ratios, that is for with coordination number of 3, 4, 6, and 8. So this is all about this video. Oh, sorry. Now we proceed to limitations of radius ratio. Although these radius ratio rules helps us to understand the structure of different ionic compounds and also to predict the structure of for different unknown ionic compounds. From here, if we have some unknown cation and anion, then we'll get to know from the radius ratio. If we know their sizes, we'll get to know that what is going to be the nature of sites which are present, what is going to be the coordination number, but it still has some limitations. So here we have some listed out some limitations. So the first one is the here the ions were considered as hard spheres, hard and inelastic, which we initially discussed that the spheres, the atoms have been considered as hard and inelastic, but in actual, what is it? It is not so, because the covalent character is there, and due to polarization, and the anions are polarizable, cations have great polarization tendency. So in actual, the spheres are actually elastic in nature. They are compressible. These atoms are not, the size of the cations or the anions is not fixed. They are changeable. They are based upon the size of the, or we can say based upon the nature of the their partner ion. The size varies. This we'll discuss in a bit. But actually, these spheres are inelastic, not inelastic. They are elastic in nature. So structure. This is one of the example that silver iodide for its radius ratio is 0.52. So according to this, structure should be the coordination number should be 6. The structure should be octahedral, arrangement of ions should be in the octahedral, but actual it occupies the zinc blende structure with coordination number of 4. Second limitation is radius ratio of these compounds, that is zinc oxide, mercuric sulfide, and cadmium sulfide. It comes out to be 0.5, which indicates that coordination number is going to be 6, but these exhibit tetrahedral geometry with coordination number of 4 again. So these points were not explained by the radius ratio rule. These limitations were not explained by the radius ratio rule. So also in the radius ratio rule, there was no explanation that why some compounds exhibit more than one crystal structure, despite the fact that according to this radius ratio rule, the size of the ions is fixed. If the size of the ions is fixed, then how the one type of one combination of cation and anion, that one compound can exhibit two types of structure, two types of coordination number. The one example is thallium chloride. Here, for this, coordination number 6 is also possible, and coordination number 8. It has both types of structure, that is NaCl type and cesium chloride type structures. The next point is radius ratio rule suggests coordination number of 8 for oxides of larger divalent cations. When we have larger divalent cations, so their coordination number is 8 according to the radius ratio rule for their oxides. But in actual, no oxides are there with coordination number of 8 in their structure. Now this point is very important. So here, if you see that here it is silver fluoride, sodium chloride. So here, if you see, this is the MX bond length, which is the sum total of R positive and R negative. So from here, if you see that fluoride is same, the anion is same. So the size is dependent upon the bond length is dependent upon the radius of the cation. So from here, you will say that silver is bigger in size than sodium. But looking at the other compound, other combination, here it is silver chloride and sodium chloride. Here it seems that silver is smaller in comparison to sodium. But how is it possible if these are the ionic sizes are fixed? If these ionic sizes are considered as solid subfields, how is this possible that these are having, based upon the nature of anion, the size of the cation is dependent upon the nature of the anion. So from here we can say that that the nature of anion is deciding about the size of the cation. So this means that silver ion is softer, which means that silver is softer than sodium, which is elastic in nature, which is compressible in nature. So that is why silver is having more covalent character, and with polarizable anions, it gives different size in comparison to that of sodium. So that is why, so this particular nature of silver will give us misleading results, that from here we'll calculate the size of silver. If we want to calculate, then we'll put this size of silver here for this calculation of fluoride. That will give us misleading results. This thing won't be possible for such kind of cases, but such kind of cases were not at all explained by radius ratio rule. So these all are the limitations of radius ratio rule. But to some extent, to a large extent, this radius ratio rule is applicable, and this is widely acceptable. So yes, this is acceptable because it is applicable to large number of crystal systems, but with some limitations. It is acceptable with some limitations. So next we have in our syllabus is defects in crystal structure. This we'll be discussing in our next video. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much. Keep studying and have a good day.